everybody, I'm Stephanie and I am with Mommy and Me Studios, and welcome back to our kid video series where you come to create, imagine, and discover. And today we're doing two of those things. We're going to be creating a pumpkin and discovering a little bit of science behind how you can make a homemade glue with paper mache. So we're going to paper mache our pumpkin, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the supply list that we need. James will be joining me later, so make sure you stay tuned. So what you need is yarn, one balloon, tape, newspaper, 1 cup of flour, 1.5 cups of water, and decorating supplies such as paint or any other kind of baubles you might want to decorate your pumpkin with. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our prep work before we introduce our toddler in. If you've got older kids, they can help you from the get-go. My little guy will have a little bit of a difficult time with this part. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to blow up our balloon, not quite all the way so it's squishy, and then we're going to pull and tie string around to make the ridges of a pumpkin. And I did most of them here, but I'm going to do one more for you guys to see. And I'm going to pull this in underneath the yarn that's already there and tie it to that middle section. And I typically do about 2 knots just to make sure it's going to be secure and it's not going to accidentally untie as I'm pulling on it, since I'm trying to pull it taut. Okay, the next step is, as you go to know which direction you want to go with your yarn, you're going to take a piece of tape and you're going to place it perpendicular to your yarn. So that way it holds the yarn in place with this way, but you can still pull it this way to tighten it. And you're going to pull real tight as you pull it around the balloon to make that ridge. And then you're going to tie it up at the top. And what I do in order to tie it, I just kind of weave it through some of the other yarns and create a loop. And then pull the string through the end through that loop and tighten it, and that's a tie. And then I'll do it again on another part just to make sure again that it's not going to budge on me. Okay, and don't worry too much about these other strings. If you've got some that are really long, you can go ahead and cut them down a little bit, but we'll be covering up most of that with our paper mache. So that's the first step of prep. Let's move on to the second step. All right, so our next step is to make our paper mache. So you're gonna need a dish and a whisk to go ahead and mix it all into. And we're going to do our cup of flour. And then you want 1.5 cups of warm water. This is a good ratio to start off with, but you're gonna want a medium consistency. And the reason why we're doing this before we tear our paper is because it actually thickens just a little bit more while it sits. So if it seems to be a little too thin, it's okay, because it'll thicken a little bit by the time you're done tearing your paper. So we're just gonna whisk that until it's smooth. Okay, once that is all done and smooth for you, no major clumps or anything like that, we're gonna set that aside to go ahead and allow it to thicken a little bit. And we're gonna go ahead and tear our paper. Now I've torn most of my paper already in preparation for the video, but I know that some people did not know that there's a right and wrong way to tear newspaper. So I figured I would take this opportunity to show you. So there is a way that you can tear newspaper that it will tear in almost a completely straight line. And I'm going to show you the wrong way first. I happen to already know the right way for this piece of the paper. But if you tear it this way, see how it broke off and it wouldn't go in the straight line? That's the wrong way of tearing this one. For this piece, it's actually better to go the lengthways, and it tears almost completely straight. Now, obviously we don't want this long of a piece going on for paper mache quite yet, so you just tear it in half. Okay, now we're on to the next step where we're gonna do our paper mache, and James has joined me. Can you say hi?
Hi.
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 We're making a pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
A pumpkin. Okay, so this next step is super easy. All you have to do is take your newspaper, dip it into your paste or your glue, and make sure you wipe off any of the excess and put it right onto your pumpkin. And do that until you have one solid layer where you see none of the color of the balloon through. Okay, now that we have finished with putting our whole first layer on, you've covered everything and there's no more pink showing through, we're going to make our stem. So for this, you're just going to need some tin foil. And you're gonna start off just kind of crinkling it into what you would imagine a vine would be, being thicker at the base and thinner up at the top. And that to me looks like a pretty good shape actually. So then you're going to use a second piece of tin foil and you're going to put it up where that top of your balloon is, your tie, and your extra yarn and everything. And you're gonna kind of crinkle it around there. And then there's second piece of tin foil. You're going to just wrap around that base, thickening that bottom portion of that vine and going over the top of your balloon. Okay? And then we just paper mache over the top of it. Once you have your tin foil completely covered, you might have seen that I didn't do this part up here, and that's actually because I'm going to come back when it's dry and cut this off so that it looks like you cut it off the vine. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to there's a lot of glue on here right now, so to help it dry faster, instead of adding more wet layers, we're going to add some dry layers. So we're going to just go ahead and put some newspaper over the top of it, and you can see that that one already adhered really, really well because there's that excess glue. Okay, so now that that's done, we're gonna go ahead and put it aside and let it dry. Now, depending on how long you want it to last, depends on how many layers you're going to want to do. This will probably last through a season. If you've got older kids, it might even last longer. Because I've got somebody who likes to play soccer ball with my pumpkin, I would want to do at least one more layer. Whatever you choose to do as far as that goes, whatever your last layer, you want it to be printing paper because it's going to make it last longer and be harder to break. So then you're going to want to wait before we decorate it a whole evening. So let it dry overnight before you choose to decorate it. Okay, so while our other one is going back there to dry for a little bit, we actually already have another one. I even briefly painted a little bit so you could see what it would look like if we painted it like an actual pumpkin. But today we're going to let him decorate it how he would like to. And we have a couple of different varieties. We have his favorite color because we all know here on this channel he keeps picking blue, so we'll see if he does it again. We also have some metallics and we even have glow-in-the-dark paint, which will be fun to play with. So, what do you want to color with?
Orange.
You want to do orange? Oh, I'm surprised. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you've had as much fun as I have in making this pumpkin with my son, and I actually hope to make a few more of these because I love the idea of decorating with pumpkins on my front porch. So make sure you let us know if you try this and share some pictures with us over on our Facebook page. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that little bell to make sure you get notifications. And we'd love to hear more from you, more ideas. Was this a good idea for you? Do you not care for it? We want to hear both positive and negative from you guys because we'd love to hear more about what you guys would like to see. So thank you so much and we'll see you next time.